So let's keep cruising along. Hey, where's the ramp? There we go. All right. So let's keep cruising along and attempting to move forward in our development of this account. I think what we're going to look at is probably to begin to open access to End of Dragons content. That's going to allow us to continue to get some hero points, to further develop Reaper, and open the door for more of the content that we're ultimately going to want to access for a number of reasons. Some of the masteries, we're not looking honestly at a lot of masteries from End of Dragons. The masteries in End of Dragons were somewhat a disappointment in some ways. It was great for having an immersive story, like the fishing and the skiffs and stuff. We're fine for the story to feel immersive, but they weren't necessarily super great in terms of adding to the gameplay. So I'm curious about something here. Do we have any... Sure, well, there we go. No, we don't even have any charges. Okay. I was looking at maybe doing a little bit of Fashion Wars before we got started, but clearly there's no point in that because we don't have charges, and I'm not going to buy them just for that purpose. For me, that is definitely one thing that is not worth spending real money on. Now, if you were to spend real money on wanting to look better than the kind of versus buying transmutation charges, I think probably the more logical way to go about it would be to either buy armor skins like we got here. You know, like if this was the look I was going for, which it's a thing, it is something, that would be an option, or you could go with outfits. Let's see if we got some outfits poking around in here. More armor skins. So the upside to armor skins is you can mix and match them. So here we got, we still got our shoulders, gloves, and boots on, but then we got this Ice Reaver chest guard, and we still got the little scaled loincloth down here. We can throw some whatever on there. That's nonsense. Mixing and matching, however, is the upside of that. Throw a cape on there. Oh man, wild, good times. And in that sense, I do prefer armor skins. However, for an economic solution, you just buy an outfit there, boom, now we have a whole new look with the 700. So $8.50 or whatever that comes out to in terms of the exchange rate between gems and US dollars, something like that. Having said all that, we're not going to bother with any of that. Let's just go ahead and move straight towards getting into the End of Dragons content.
Research log.
Do not care, timing.
I need to speak with you.
Later on, I'll come back around and do all that and actually capture all of it.
I'd like to discuss it.
But not for these purposes. So we're also not far away from doing something else. In fact, maybe we'll do it here in a little bit once we've gained access to the End of Dragons region. Another option, or not options on the table, but another thing that we need to check off our list relatively early in this process is to finish making this character capable of what we want to do. So when we very first started this account, I talked about kind of the benefit, the upside of this being celestial, and how that's kind of a useful stat line and so forth, but it's not going to give us nearly as much damage as if we went Berserker. So it would be nice to go ahead and fill out a Berserker template for our full damage. The weapon set would be the same as what I'm running here right now, but get some better armor, and then ultimately a related task to something else we want to achieve would be to start filling this out, and eventually I'd like to fill this out with some Ascended items for our goal of being able to get through Tier 2 Fractals. We are going to need some Ascended. It's going to be much easier for us to get some of these through our Living World Season 3 play versus trying to craft something. So that would be the route that I intend on going. For the moment, we will get into End of Dragons. I find this to be kind of
Champion, it's wonderful to see you.
a little bit laborsome to get into End of Dragons. It's not that this instance is a bad instance. This part is kind of immensely annoying. But the part we'll get to in here in a few minutes with the Sky Pirates and so forth is really pretty
The world
cool.
does feel different, though.
It just, for whatever
My
reason,
finger on it.
feels slightly
Like
more time-consuming than
Change is coming.
the entree
Real
into
change. I feel it too,
Path of
champion.
Fire or Heart of
That's
Thorns.
why I wanted
Path of
to
Fire
see
can be a
you.
little bit laborsome as well.
I've
Heart of Thorns in
begun
particular,
to
pretty easy
perceive
to make that
something.
entry, and we don't
A
necessarily get
distant
that here with Ended
presence.
Dragons.
An
But
ancient
bouncing around on
presence.
Sky
It's
Pirate
in
airships,
the
I guess,
nests,
is not the worst way to
like
go
a
about it.
dolphin in the deep, sounding to sense what's out there, and I want to respond. But before I do, I check my visions. All my possible
So not
futures
something that I'm going to get
converge
into
to
heavily
one point.
on the
Today.
0 to 0 gameplay.
And you can't see past it.
And I can't
We can
see
discuss it for a
past
moment here, since we have
you
to listen to
sure?
this nonsense anyway.
Does it mean you
There
die?
comes a
I'm not
point
sure
for
of
some of
anything,
us, certainly,
except my
I'm in this
urge to
camp
respond,
100%,
to say,
where
Yes, I'm here.
Arene becomes really
not scared.
fairly tiresome.
I'm intrigued. I'm intensely
I don't know
curious.
that
And
the
even if
concept
I
of what
die,
Arene is and
you
kind of
know I
how
won't
she
stay
functions as a
dead.
solution for
Think.
the
Whatever
Dragon
it is,
storyline,
I
which
can
dominated
handle
the
it.
first 10 years of Guild
I
Wars 2.
just wanted to tell you.
Dominated to the
Before it
point where
all
really, I mean, it's the
begins.
central theme in terms
How
of
does it
storytelling,
begin?
in terms
I'm
of
not
aesthetic.
sure,
The
but I
logo
know
itself is a
involves
dragon silhouette.
Tiny and Goric.
I'll talk to them.
I suppose Arene is as elegant solution as any, maybe. But
Commander. Kay,
man, it kind of
Oh,
gets
you're back.
old after a little
That's, good. That's great.
bit. She
is she? Something to do with Gore.
she presents some problems
Yeah,
within the
okay,
storytelling as well.
So, Gorik and I have been up here doing research, looking for a way to end the dragon cycle. Because, like, who needs that noise every 10,000 years, am I right? So many dead people, and the cleanup is insane.
You were talking about Goric.
Right. Gorik got a message from an old colleague.
So talking about lore,
An old Inquest colleague.
whether I, if I dislike Aurene a little bit, I
He's
dislike
mentioned her a
Taimi
couple
quite a
times.
bit
I've
in terms
never
of
met
what
her.
she does
Says
to
she
the
was
story,
trapped in
how she
Tormag and
uniquely
Primordus.
causes
She
problems
has
for
some
the
data.
storytelling.
Would he like to see it? She'll trade it to us.
Eagerly awaiting her death.
Doesn't
Horribly
specify for
callous
what.
thing to say,
Red
but
flag.
really looking forward to
Come
that.
near it,
And
look
honestly,
at
I'm really
us
looking forward to the complete
alone. Second red flag.
So, Anka
disbanding
offers him
of
something
the little
she knows
guild
he
that the
wants,
commander
without
has
asking for
at this
something in
particular point in
return?
time and
Yes.
throughout
Why would she do that?
really probably 8 of the 10 years that Guild Wars 2 has been around so far. They've been going through this process of putting this band of
Exactly.
heroes together, and
Why do you care?
it's time for a change there.
But you don't trust her.
Why should I?
Why indeed? I'm sorry, are you worried for
In
Gorik's
fairness,
safety?
To whoever wrote
I'm worried for Gorik's
this
safety.
particular exchange,
You
it is not the
want me
worst
to hide him
dialogue
at
they've
the
written,
pass?
in my opinion.
Bring him back?
Alchemy! Would you, please?
Yeah, season 3 is fraught
Thank you,
with just
Commander.
disastrously bad writing. Fortunately, that is not as much the case here. This is slightly better, even if not, even if maybe not everything about it's likable. So fortunately, they opened up this waypoint for us here, so that we can quickly get to the actual instance, and not have to run to Lornar's Pass, which would have been less than optimal. I think maybe that's one of the things that annoys me about entering the End of Dragons maps and kind of getting through this very first part of the End of Dragons story, is that there's a lot of exposition, which takes part in these conversations. It takes part in
Commander?
NPC
What
to
are you doing
NPC
here?
dialogue,
Just thought you could use the company.
Seems implausible.
from a gameplay perspective, it almost feels like
Tell me about this old friend you're meeting.
Yeah,
filler.
we wanna know.
From a gameplay sense,
Spare no detail.
it is
Is she
presumably
an old colleague
necessary
from my time at
exposition
Dorminova?
to
We had a
develop the
highly
story.
productive collaboration. I mean, I may have occasionally
But,
experienced mild heart arrhythmia when
Like
we were working
this nice
together,
little
but as
walk we're
Alicia
going on
always
right
said,
now,
Don't masticate where you hibernate.
it doesn't.
Or something.
It's
I'm
not entertaining.
paraphrasing.
Not after the first time,
I
certainly.
lost touch with her years ago.
I suppose if you were really into the story, or if you were a big fan when End of Dragons released, which, in fairness, as much as I kind of bash the story, I'm certainly a fan of the game, and I think the world building is good. It's just the dialogue and plot lines are often not good.
Nothing like that.
But certainly I was interested in this the very first time, to see what direction they were going to take it, and to watch it play out.
Tiny and I have been
But the
working
second
on a
time,
hypothesis about elder dragons and
can
magic,
100% do
but
without
with most
all of
gone,
this right here.
Data is hard to come by. We're on Terra Incognita. Anka is offering, and we need all the knowledge we can get.
Goric? Over
Why does
here.
Goric know Latin?
It's been so long. Let me take a look at you.
Did the Asurans, do they use Latin?
Nor you. Anka, allow me to introduce...
Oh, I know. It's an honor, Commander. Any friend of Gorik's is a friend of mine.
Quite the charmer. Right back at you.
Feels like only yesterday we were side by side.
I don't think
two interns
that Anka is the
working to
worst
push
villain
the
they've come up
boundaries
with.
of science.
Those were the
And I'm just going to go ahead
days.
and throw spoilers like that out there because this is not the story playthrough. This
I
is
did.
something
But
else.
there was this
Um,
plague, beetles,
and
invading
honestly,
people's faces.
End of Dragon's already been
It
out
was a
for,
long
what,
time
9
ago.
months?
A lot's happened.
I mean,
since then.
if you missed that train, you missed it. I don't know what to say.
And eager to see this new data of yours.
Not the worst villain they come up with.
That's... Yeah...
And for
I
what it's
made that
worth,
up.
the whole Lazarus Balthazar thing
Made
in my
it up?
book
But
was
you
the
said
worst.
You don't have a passion for elder dragons?
More of a professional...
Leads me to
interest.
actually kind of...
One in particular. I think you know her.
I enjoy my
Do
Path of
want
Fire
something.
playthroughs a little bit less,
Afraid to do.
just because of
Me.
how
and my
that story
Ether
plays out. It of course, is relevant to all of Path of Fire.
Hey!
Goric! Aetherblade! Inquest Natch! I knew she couldn't be trusted!
Thought I dropped that. That's why we need more hero points right there. Still swinging that scythe a little bit slow for my taste. We'll get that straightened out, though. I don't know that we're easily going to access every hero point in End of Dragon. You know, like when we very first get there, but
We'll catch them.
Maureen, hold on.
there should be at least 5 or 6 we can get to pretty quick.
They took Goric!
You can come with me, or I can go alone.
Not having a skimmer will impact that slightly.
But I'm not staying out of the fight this time.
To be honest, the reason that we're doing this versus going into Path of Fire and trying to further move towards mounts is just because I was not in a mood to play Path of Fire content this afternoon.
I'll scout ahead and try to find him.
So like I mentioned earlier, this, as much as I don't like those slow periods, and we got another slow,
They're not clowns, they're
we still have another very slow, long segment left ahead of us. But this particular portion of the,
Certainly been busy.
you know,
Where did they get all these airships?
of the entrance to End of Dragons is pretty cool. Yeah, it's a little buggy sometimes. I think because relative to the technology that they have available, they did quite a lot. I think that having this many distinct platforms, you know, with empty space between them,
Aetherblades are innocent.
which is what all the airships are,
They're weirdly into
I think
data
that was a
entry.
challenge for them.
Check the terminal for a map, a flight plan.
I would speculate based on how they've handled some similar things before.
These charts, they don't make any sense. Why would the Aetherblades go to...
I have to get off this thing.
I'm reading a lot of wind shear up there. You can't use your glider.
Now there are some achievements in this that I am not going to try to attain right now, just because they're a little bit time-consuming. There's one where you know, if you limit the number of times that you use, well, something that we don't even have yet, which is Areen shortly is going to give us a skill to help us manage moving from airship to airship. Kind of this flying leap thing. It is pretty cool. It's not a, you know, it's from a gameplay perspective, it's really great fun.
You could say that.
Or
They're heading into the mists.
acceptable fun at a minimum.
Commander, please don't
If you limit the number of times you use that skill, there's an achievement for that. Then there's also an achievement for killing every single Aether Blade
Just you and
that
me
you
now,
encounter
champion.
throughout this.
Maybe just you. I have no way to get to the next ship.
Let me help. I think you'll enjoy this.
Alright, so now we should get that skill. And you see all the achievements pop up right there when we got the skill. And there's also an achievement for dodging all of these cannon shots, which I actually don't even have yet on my main account, because it actually requires paying quite a bit of attention, and I just haven't actually done that yet. Haven't taken the time to try, and you really have to have a pretty solid understanding of like where you position yourself, or get lucky and repeatedly position yourself in the right place again and again. Because I have not done that. See, I just got hit, so that achievement I now no longer have. It just hasn't been worth my time, and may never be worth my time. There's some of those achievements where if I feel like it's going to require me to play through the same instance 5, 6, 7 times until I really get whatever down and get that achievement, there's a good possibility I'm not going to bother at this point in my my playing career, if you will. If I were including, you know what, we can skip that guy. If I were including achievement points in the 0 to 0 concept, and I said, hey, I want to get to at least 500 achievement points, then those are the types of things that we'd be looking at. Is, you know, what achievements are within striking distance to where we can easily, you know, get 5 achievement points here, 10 achievement points there. You know, how might we go about that? But I feel achievement points at this time in the history of the game are a very poor representation of skill, or, you know, I feel more than anything they're a representation of time dedicated, which is fine. Like, you know, good on you for dedicating the time, I guess. But you know, I'd prefer to accomplish the goals that we laid forth, or that I laid forth, in a short period of time as possible. I think that's something that, not that I'm so good that it's going to be done super fast, but, you know, if we can achieve all those goals in 100 hours gameplay versus 150 hours gameplay, I think that'd be awesome. And that's when I would then pivot to the story playthrough. Annoying. It's weird to me when the voice acting takes more time to play, or to play out for you to hear, than whatever the action it's meant to represent is in the first place.
This is where it ends, Commander. You'll never reach
No Gorik. And I'm trapped. Gotta be a way to overload this system.
So what I do like right here is that some of these things, like the spinning laser wall thing, are borrowed from original Aetherblade content when the Aetherblades were first introduced in Season 1, and then existed again within the Aetherblade Fractals, and now we see it again, so that their commitment to maintaining continuity there and consistency is... Oh, come on. I just made it. That consistency is appreciated.
Like this in a while. Time to do something. Next ship's too far. I have to stay steer this thing closer.
Huh. Yeah, I should have used the jump capability.
How's she doing, man? What the hell's going on?
Who told you to prep the extractor? I gave a direct order not to use it. Redneck's comm is broken. Damn it. We don't even know what that thing does. If it... How long until the jump? Almost ready, Captain.
Time to do some real damage.
Oh, my breath.
Stop the commander, whatever it takes.
All right, just about done with this, which is a nice thing, except what it also means is that we're just about to a rather slow sequence to get through.
Units are fleet. Prepare for extrication from the mists. Initiate portal activation.
Timey, we're out of the mists. Can you see our location? Some kind of landmass in the distance. Timey? Must be out of comms range. Great.
Let's go. Oh. That's why I'm not getting any luck. Alright.
Oh, you're still here, Commander. Just in time.
It will eventually get close enough we could actually jump down onto it.
Good.
I simply have no effort or no desire to wait.
Bye.
Oh, there's one of the bugs that you sometimes experience with these
Falling
platforms.
where they don't belong.
Deal with her later.
And
Fine
eventually
for it.
fell. Alright, that's fine. Great, super fantastic. Oh. There we go. And I don't need sure.
Don't hurt me, please. I'll tell you anything. What do you want to know?
Hurts, doesn't it?
So come back to something from earlier. If I was really wanting to change my appearance and just truly did not want to spend any money, which I'm not going to spend money on, but but if I felt the need and I couldn't wait, World vs. World or PvP would be the solution to that. You get a reasonable supply of the
We can talk about that
transmutation
later.
charges.
Right now, we have to get off this ship.
Through either of those kind of PvP-ish game modes. It is also worth noting, among the various MMORPGs that I've tried, I've tried a number of them. Some I got into, some I did not. There's a lot that I really like about Final Fantasy XIV. I just feels slow to me. There's a lot I like about ESO. I'm not sure why I struggle getting into ESO because it is a really good game, really well done. I'm kind of on principle a little bit opposed to the fact that like a single house in ESO, if you I love that they have housing. Um, the fact that a single house can cost you like $60 is a bit of a turnoff. Now, if you really can't play ESO without subscribing to the ESO Plus or whatever it's called. Not really. So, if you're subscribing to ESO Plus and you're gonna over time accumulate the currency anyway to get a house like that, I don't remember the timeline that it takes. So eventually I did get a big, 60 or 70 or whatever dollar house during my time that I kind of messed around with it. Most of that time I wasn't actually playing. I just realized one day that I was still subscribed and went into the game and discovered I could buy a house. This would be nice if this was skippable. Rama is like right in my face and it's weird. But yeah, ESO, Final Fantasy 14. Man, I tried WoW and that just I couldn't. I don't know why. Its graphics felt pretty simple to me. Even the I don't know, aspects of WoW felt childish, and I think maybe just coming into a game with such a dedicated following, having no idea what was going on was maybe a little bit off-putting too. That everyone else involved in that was so into it, and I just didn't care. What else? Black Desert Online, very pretty game, very interesting, very complex in certain ways that I never played long enough to really fully grasp, like the farming and mining and some of that other stuff. But I was very intrigued by a lot of things that BDO had to offer. The free-for-all PvP feel of it ultimately kind of put me off. I'm not a huge PvP player. I'll do World vs. World in Guild Wars 2 from time to time, but that didn't feel, like World vs. World, everyone's the same level, and
You've been out for so much
getting to the point where you have equipment that is at least comparable to a lot of other people on the battlefield is not particularly hard.
Okay.
However,
I can see that.
After Amnoon, I swore
in Black Desert Online, that was not the case. Like, I was a world away from being competitive in terms of.
I'm not built for hard time, Commander. There's still so much to learn, so much science to be done.
In terms of being able to compete with other people, just equipment. Never mind.
You hear me? I won't. Jail my body.
Yeah, never mind skill. So.
Okay.
And yeah.
Scrap metal.
Of all those games, all the other MMORPGs I played, I guess I should finish my thought, which has now lasted about 5 minutes. Of all those, Guild Wars 2 has the best wardrobe system or kind of transmutation system.
Monsters, Commander? And were we all along? Maybe prison doesn't change you. Maybe it reveals you. No. We do what we must to stay alive. In the insect world, there is no more. Oh, we did it! Stop. Good. There. Now let's get out of here.
I do like that they included that puzzle.
Well, this is awkward.
That for me,
Needed some exercise.
and I could just see like several of the ArenaNet devs like sitting around, and one of them's like, "So I was in a escape room the other day,
Come with me.
Under any circumstances, like I get a kick out of that. Even after however many playthroughs, I still,
Detective, my name is Gorik.
having not done it for a while, I actually had to kind of go through the thought process again. But even when doing it several times consecutively, even if it got kind of tiresome, because I had it pretty well down at that point,
In fact, I was charged with bioterrorism in Amnoon.
it pleases me the way they put it together. It's satisfying in some way.
Staying busy, Akane?
Best internship ever.
All right, you two. Release forms. By signing this, you affirm that the Ministry of Security has treated you fairly and humanely, that you've suffered no unreasonable bodily harm during your arrest and detainment. You first, bioterrorist.
Wait, define bodily harm. I stubbed my toe last night.
Sign the damn form. Now you. You can collect your personal effects from the box there. We hope you
Alright,
enjoyed your
just
stay
about
at
done with
Shinkai
this.
Detention
I should at
Center.
least die. my armor, because this is
Akana,
that's just abysmal.
hold down the fort.
Roger that.
Dye remover, every color dye remover.
I was trying to tell you, Commander. The airship crash landed in.
Cantha, come for the waters, stay for the hospitality.
You know,
Been a while.
we don't need
Did
that.
you miss us?
Cantha,
Do we need the gloves either?
I don't
Oh,
know what
let's
to
not do
say.
the gloves.
Only been 114 years. Not like you had time to prepare something.
Yeah, we'll just make it easy.
What the alchemy is that?
Security mech or something. I can't keep up with all the new tech.
It's not the worst thing I've ever seen,
Reminiscent of our golems.
considering we got
Is Cantha
a handful of
portraying
dice to choose
the
from.
goddess soon?
Which
And
part of
I'm
the
not a
Earth
fan of
gods
this
had willed
light
for
armor skin,
100 years did you
to be honest.
not understand?
I mean, it's not terrible. That's another thing. In addition to the wardrobe system being intuitive and, or at least in my opinion, easy to use, and easier to use now than it was at launch. In fact, there wasn't a wardrobe system at launch. I remember carrying several sets of armor
To Cantha.
just for aesthetic purposes, which was really stupid. Like, I'm sure I was one of a handful of people doing it, but probably most people did not do that. When they introduced the wardrobe system, I thought it was fantastic. But then after that, the way it worked was also
Right, an ambassador's
a little
waiting
weird.
for
And then you know, they've got it all straightened out now, where it's pretty good.
Security wants to speak with you after.
The struggle with dyes is, for me,
I'm glad you're here.
I tend to want to match like skill
Have you heard
effects,
anything about Aurene?
which for a necromancer, you know, see
She's
like
fine.
green and black and
Recovering.
you know,
Don't
variations of that
Yes.
tend to be the
You'll see
thing.
her soon. It's
Um,
okay to take a moment
so
to find your bearings. After we
you
heard
end
about
up
what
looking
happened,
like
we were so...
Marjorie here,
Anyway,
just from an aesthetic
took a
point of
little
view.
while, but it all worked out.
Your
So,
mesmers are
I'm
often
still
going to
missing
end
some
up
pieces.
looking like
How did
Casimir,
you
not
find
just
us?
because
Find
she's a
It
mesmer
kinda
and she's a
caused a
necromancer and
hot-steamy
like
mess of a
people,
circus show.
you know,
An
like to kind of
international
model off the
incident.
NPC sometimes, but just because of the
Jenna sent
skill
me the
effects
smooth
and how
feathers.
dominant the skill
And
effects
no way
are
would I let Jory
during
miss the
combat and during
opportunity of a
gameplay,
lifetime.
you
I
find
know
yourself
about that.
often
Not like I ever expected to see this
looking like every
place.
other necromancer because
But
everyone
sure,
kind of
if
gravitates
you
the same
say so.
direction with it,
You know
you know,
it
or
is.
warrior or whatever.
Commander,
You will
they'll be
occasionally
trying
see
to
someone who
put you
goes a
up, but
completely different direction, and
man
maybe that's what
wants
we'll
to
do
speak
once
to
we
you.
get to the Fashion Wars portion of this. Is, you know, work our way towards, you know, like a very
So, you're the commander. I've been
very
hearing so
pink
much
and
about.
white and yellow
I
necromancer or
guess I
something like
am.
that.
Lee, Minister of Security.
It just, at the end of the day, you're still going to have a flesh golem hanging out with you, and your
Minutes ago,
wells are still going
you've been
to, you know,
granted clemency.
look like that.
I
And so, it,
suppose I've got
you know, it's
you
only
to
going to
thank
take you
for
so
that.
far.
You are fortunate to have such influential friends. My understanding is you're something of a protector of the realm.
So Minister Lee here is supposed to
doing
be
whatever's necessary to keep your people safe.
not,
I try to keep
likable.
all people safe.
I see.
and they really nailed it there. Like, he is
It's my
exceedingly
duty to keep the people
not
of Canada
likable.
safe. I'm very good at my job.
And since that's what they were aspiring to do, I
Understood,
can't ding them
Minister.
for it.
I must
Or I assume
return
that's
to
what they
my
were aspiring to do, the way he's
Welcome
written.
to the sovereign empire of Cantha.
Well, Commander, you're
And
almost
maybe
there.
that's
There's one more thing we need to do
you know, the
before
voice
I
actor
can
just
sign
doing a
you
good
loose.
job,
Meet
and
me at the monastery training grounds
dialogue's
as
well
soon
written.
as you can.
but man,
Rama,
just
a word.
Minister?
feels like a time drain.
Updates on our
Just
ether
listening to
situation.
some of this dialogue.
Unfortunately, no.
All right,
I've
yep,
been busy
fishing.
handling our guest of honor, but I'll be back on the case soon as this is wrapped up.
Good. Then maybe we'll.
All right, let's hit Saitong and start getting. Trying to think of how many of these we're actually
They've released the commander. Gorik, too.
going to be able to get to.
Good. I look forward to telling Gorak how much of a choya brain he was for
See,
trusting
there's
Anka.
Ellie that 100% looks like a Necro. So he,
Agreed to the plan.
I don't know.
Yeah, if I agreed,
He
you
changed
mean
it up.
went along with it.
Good on
I
him.
told you the whole time it was a bad idea. Yeah, but you're right. We did. Still, he and I are gonna have a talk.
So unfortunately,
Commander,
right here on
Aurene
this
found
little
this
island, there's a
overnight
hero
little
point
sea
which I would
cave
love to get
rest
to.
up in. She'd love for you to come by.
But I don't think we're going to be able to do
Local
that without
fisherman.
the skimmer.
If you don't mind answering a few nosy
I haven't the faintest idea how we
questions,
would.
you
Once we get the
can
skiff, we could also do it with the skiff.
Don't forget.
But
you
without
need to
skimmer
meet
and
with
without
Detective
skiff,
Rama as well.
neither one is just high enough up that we don't really have any options there. Now, if someone else were hanging out here with their skiff, then we could hop in their skiff and then hop up there. But I suppose I could ask Master Zane over here. And if this wasn't an account that I was using specifically to demonstrate progression, I would just log in on my other PC with my other account, and, port various things, and give this account a lift and so forth to get all the things that I want to get. But clearly, given what we're trying to achieve, that's not really a viable option. But we do got some other stuff that we can get to here. Let's see, what are we actually in need of? Let's see what we actually need. It's quite a bit. 100? 95. We need 95. Alright, so I don't know that we're going to get that all from End of Dragons today. We may end up running back to some of the Heart of Thorns content or some Path of Fire content to finish that. But we should, I should got my flesh golem now. But we should easily be able to finish Reaper today. That should not be that difficult. I'm kind of making this guy harder than he needs to be honest.
You are all weaklings.
Impossible.
So that one's actually the culmination of, if I come over here and talk to Rama, this is actually the next story step. Or you talk to this guy over here and he takes you on a little boat down here and you visit with Irene. Either one of those is viable. Kind of gives you an option, but you're going to end up doing both before you do anything else anyway. If I talk to Rama here, he requires me to go through this tutorial thing. See, the tutorial just kicked in when I got close. So Trainer Raji over here, the training mech over here, and then I forget the name of this trainer, Stonefist. You got to go through all three of those, and then ultimately you do the hero point over here. Very clearly a tutorial for teaching combo fields, break bars, dodging, and then a culmination is meant to be demonstrated by the hero point up here. If there was ever, I find evidence that the level 80 boost was intended for new players all over the place. I think there's many things that point to that. But that should be all you need. So this is an expansion, it is level 80 content. Nobody should be doing that story step if you assume that the booster is for experienced players, nobody should be doing that story step until they're already well familiar with those concepts. And yet, because it's an expansion, because they know people are going to be going straight to level 80, they're going to be doing the boost to do that. Of course they are, because they want to play the expansion content. And so ArenaNet inserted that there. So it's all, and I don't think that was like cautious on their part. I don't think that was a just in case, let's cover our bases. Of course, players are going to use the boost. I don't think there's any question of it. New players, I mean. And I'm fine with it. I think the responsibility is on the playing community to help them. Like, instead of ridiculing them, which is what generally happens. Oh, why'd you use your boost? Idiot. Go back and manually level 1 to 80. Ooh.
Pleasure to meet you.
What? Who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. We don't have Bunny yet. I thought you could get up there without Bunny. I'm going to make this harder than it has to be. Watch. Alright, let's see what else we got here. That one we can't get to right now. There's one way over here that we're not going to be able to get. It's like somewhere in this ballpark. I don't think we're going to be able to get to it. We can go over there and check. I don't think we're going to be able to get to it. There is one kind of up here-ish, which we should be able to get to. It's a little bit of a fight. Although, one of the areas of End of Dragons that I do think they balance things pretty well. They found a good happy medium. Is the right level of difficulty for hero points to kind of be, I think, what they envisioned them to be. If you solo them, they are, you know, again, with variation between, you know, different ones. Like some are harder than others. The one over right about here, I believe it is. I struggle with that one a little bit. If you draw too much aggro there, then you're probably going to have a rough time of it, depending on the build you're running and so forth. We may actually, if we get over there and I'm going to try and solo that one, I might actually switch to minions, just to kind of make that easier for me. But the hero points in End of Dragons are, for the most part, a little bit easier than Heart of Thorns, which was kind of where some of them were at their hardest, really. Pathfire, by and large, was easier, although
Is it just me, or am I?
there are a handful in Pathfire that are a bit of a trick. And there's one and only one in Pathfire that I always skip because it's just not worth the time for me, which is on in the Desolation, down where the Desolation meta event takes place, and there's just so many mobs that it just really annoys me. I feel like I'm constantly clearing mobs just to try to get to the point where I can do it. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So this one, let's clear some of these other mobs before we get up there. That's gonna be the right answer for us. Yeah, we pulled a number of them. This is another one, like the other one I was talking about. This one also, if you manage to pull too many of these guys and then go up there and fight the elite, then you make things a little bit more difficult for yourself. I got blinded somehow, and it's messing me up.
Time to do some real damage. You destroyed everything. You are all weak.
Ah, pulled another one. That's okay, we're gonna run up there anyway. We might lose her in the process coming up. Nope, we didn't. Oh! Yeah, we did. She's turning back around. Alright, there we go. Here's our problem. This is what we gotta contend with. And right now, he's fixated more or less on my flesh golem, which means I need to maximize this period of time to, well, now he switched to me. But maximize that time to get what I want to get done. Because, there we go, I just lost that flesh golem. Where is he going? What? He went over there and killed the fly. And he's going to continue to kill ambient creatures. I almost feel like I should try and get this if he's just going to run around. Nope, I'm not going to get it though. Weird. That's a weird thing. I've never seen him do that before. I've seen NPCs do some strange things, especially enemy NPCs, because of the way they, whatever AI or whatever, the formulas and whatnot that go into them identifying targets and using skills and so forth. I didn't dodge that. But I've not seen one go after all the ambient creatures before. You will sometimes see where two enemies who will both target you but are also coded to potentially target each other will end up in a weird loop where they both run past each other, turn around, run past each other again, and kind of get caught doing that in like a loop, and thus never actually target you and never well, they never do anything except repeatedly just run around running past each other. Kind of a weird thing to see. Oh, man. Let's get this done. So the respawn time on these elites is actually fairly short. So I don't want to waste too much time up here. Because that was time consuming enough. Just, you know, we're not kitted properly yet, and I'm not the best in the world, so that took long enough as is. Alright, so thus far we have got 30 points of the 95 we need. Inching closer, so this is the trait that I want so badly. Honestly, in my current Reaper build, I don't use either of these. I can probably do without. This has its value. This definitely has its times. Especially if you're running traits that, which I think I am, actually, let's see. Yeah. So if you're running traits that capitalize, there's another trait that capitalizes off of the chill as well, I thought, but this one does. You know, the ability to inflict chill then becomes beneficial to you because you have a trait that plays off that. But that's why I like running focus, because I get chill there, and I prefer to have the flesh golem because I'm not. One, the flesh golem actually, for a lot of, last time I looked, the optimal, or what is considered to be the optimal necromancer build actually had flesh golem written into it anyway, like that was considered to be optimal. But in addition to that, I like having the flesh golem there because it reduces, it gives me a little bit more margin for error, reduces my chances of failing. It's more forgiving than some other options. Okay, I don't think we're going to be able to get up. Well, yeah, I might be wrong. Maybe we can. Yep, looks like we can. Actually, not sure I ever tried. I think every other account that I have, by the time I got to the point where I wanted to do this, I always had the bunny anyway, so this has never been an issue for me before.
I am death incarnate.
I believe this is one of the, there are a few of these, and they did this in Heart of Thorns as well. I don't recall anywhere in particular where they did it in Path of Fire, but they did it here in End of Dragons, and I think there are a few of them in End of Dragons that do it, a few hero points. And they did it in Heart of Thorns at least once I can think of, where at the same hero point there may be several different enemies. You don't know what you're going to encounter until you get there and actually get a chance to check it out. Glad to have that done. I wish he hadn't cast that immediately before dawn. And I'm very happy because I didn't think this one was going to be accessible. And so that's one less that we're going to have to bounce back to Heart of Thorns or Path of Fire for. And once you, here's one thing about heading over to the End of Dragons maps. Once you're here, because you're in a whole nother region here. Yeah, I don't even know what that is. Here we go. Here we got some Pathfire, and then way up here is core maps and Heart of Thorns. So because you're way, they added this thing when they added End of Dragons, just simply because the dragging the map thing was such a pain to get up to the rest. This is the Battle Islands, by the way. I'm pretty sure. Like, really, really sure, actually. Such a pain to deal with all that they added this little thing. But also the point I was getting to, the waypoint charges over 10 silver. That is a lot for a waypoint charge. Is it a lot for like anything? No, like obviously it'd be a great deal for you know, the armor and stuff like that, but for a waypoint charge, like that's like really ridiculous. So once you're in the End of Dragons area, you want to get your money's worth out of it. And then when it's time to leave, then ideally you like go to Lion's Arch through PvP or World vs. World, you know, portals up here, something like that, so that you're not burning. Again, 10 silver not being a huge amount, but it's a completely unnecessary amount for what you're doing, and you don't necessarily want to burn that for that purpose. I do like this that they added. So one of the solutions, because I think probably they went in this expansion genuinely concerned about mounts and whether or not players had them, you know, new players not having them. And so they now give everybody with a pay to count a raptor. And then if you play through the End of Dragon story without having Heart of Thorns or Path of Fire, you ultimately get a bunny too. You just don't get the ability to get the masteries for it. But they also added this to several of the maps, where I can just go, you know, wherever within this map, and you have the speed of their, and you can actually control the speed. You can also take control of them and drive them yourself. So there's kind of this raptor loan system built into the maps that is great for folks who don't have mounts. Again, they should on a pay to count anyway, but be that as it may, like they put options in for folks. I think they did a better job than I was expecting at making End of Dragons friendly to players that did not have the other expansions. That is one area where I thought they were going to do a worse job than they actually did. Maybe that says something about me. Like, you know, maybe I'm just too unforgiving, or you know, like I judge ArenaNet unfairly, maybe. But I expected that to go. Let's see. It must be right over here. I'm trying to remember where that next one is. Yeah, maybe I judged them too harshly, but I was expecting them to do a bad job of it, and they did not do a terrible job. They did pretty good. It's kind of going the long way here. Because without any of the other mounts, I kind of need to stay on the beaten path a little bit to get where I'm going. It is a worthwhile use of time that I ultimately need to do to, you know, unlock, you know, the other Path of Fire mounts. But let's see. There's what I was looking for. All right. And it looks like someone might be doing it. Let's see if we can get over there before they finish. Oh yeah, we're good. This guy can be a slight challenge if you're by yourself. Obviously not bad at all with other people. Alright, you just missed it. You just missed it. Yeah. I don't believe... Let's see. Where are we at? We got 5 and 9. 6. 7, which I don't think we're going to be able to get to. 8. I forget where 9 is. Or I'm forgetting one somewhere. Oh, 9. Okay. So this one's weird. Weird because I don't know how they intended for new players to get to it. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm actually like, and I could be dead ass wrong. I haven't really looked into it. I feel like, so it's up here-ish. And I feel like they must have built something in that I just haven't caught yet. But I haven't figured out what it is. But we're probably, to be fair, we're probably not going to figure it out today. It's like up here in a pond. That should be about right. Let's see. Oh, it's not showing up on the map yet. Maybe it's like right over here, so a little bit to our right. No. It's either there or there. Yeah, maybe there's like a little jumping puzzle to get up there that I haven't seen yet. Not sure. But we're, unless this door opens and there's something that, yeah, we're gonna bail on that. I haven't figured that out yet. Maybe one day I'll figure it out. But we're also getting closer to where we want to be anyway. In fact, we got our trait. That's huge for us. All right, now our Reaper build's actually complete. So should we probably finish it up? Yeah, we should. We should probably finish it up. Do we need to finish it up? No, we don't, because our, even if we haven't completed Reaper, our Reaper build is complete. So one of the advantages, though, if we do finish this up, if we come all the way through here, which we need, looks like, what, 4 more? Yeah, 4 more hero points for. That's easy. In fact, we'll run and grab that one. Is that the right spot? That should be the right spot. Yeah. We'll run and grab that one real quick, and then we'll get the other 3 in Path of Fire. Talking about our armor, we'll get a piece of headgear, which we can put here, and that's going to reduce our cost when we go to buy the rest of our armor, which we could pretty easily do. So I discovered after I'd stopped recording on the last video that one of the things that was still in my inventory was this, the Harrier's Warbeast Mantle recipe, which normally I would keep and I would just add it to the recipes for that account, but I'm definitely not going to be crafting exotic armor on this account, so why not then get my almost 4 gold out of that? Now, yeah, I got to pay the tax, but so as a result of many of the things that we sold, did we even sell everything? Yeah, so everything sold, and as a result, we got almost 5 gold hanging out here now, plus we got almost 5 gold, so we're going to end up with 9 and change. Oh.
My knowledge.
And now I'm naked. All right. We're going to end up with 9 and change. So we can get our armor. And then if we complete the whole Reaper line, then we'll already have something here. So we only need to buy 5 sets of armor. And if we felt like getting like really, really clever, then, oh, I should not have done that. Then we could probably find ways to get 1 or 2 more pieces of armor without having to buy it. But we'll get the 1 by completing Reaper. We'll buy the rest, and then we'll have the armor set that we need. And then we'll be looking at, hey, how do we start getting, some of the other things that we need, which is advancing masteries, but also almost farming to an extent to get some of those accessories. But maybe not quite that bad, but kind of a little bit. Why am I naked again? Did I switch back to it? I did. Sorry if you can hear me drinking. I'm murdering gin again. Alrighty. So, let's head back over to some Path of Fire content. Or maybe Heart of Thorns. Actually, I think Path of Fire is probably going to be easiest to finish this off. Do we have anything we want to sell while we're in the process of passing through here? Oh, and you know what else we should do? so that I'm not like forever
I know your
carrying.
face from my dream.
Yeah, we're good. So that I'm not forever carrying that spoon around. Is I should go ahead and talk to the guy who starts the spoon collection, and that way I can get credit for that spoon and be done with that. Armor, level 80. Power, precision, ferocity. So one of the odd things that I actually took into consideration when trying to decide if I was going to do this with a Mechanist or a Reaper, those being kind of the two that would be easiest to do this with. One of the things I did take into consideration was the fact that to get the correct armor for my Necromancer, or my Reaper, which is going to be this right here for us, is cheaper than if it was medium armor. The Mechanist, this is going to be more expensive. So we probably would have spent quite a bit more time on Celestial. So while we go to get the remaining, what we're going to do is we're going to try and save a little bit of money this time. We're going to see if we can do it. While we go to get some of the remaining hero points, we're going to go ahead and have these orders in and see if we have any luck with them. I would say in that amount of time, over the next 20 to... It's probably not even going to take 20, never mind 30 minutes. But let's say it took 30 minutes. I would expect maybe 2 of the pieces of armor to come in. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll do this and leave it overnight. And usually by then... What have I not ordered yet? The mantle? 12 hours, you will get the stuff that you want. Let's see. Everything except helmet, right? Yep. Okay. In 20 minutes, I'm not optimistic that we're going to get more than 1 or 2 pieces. But if we get 1 or 2 pieces on the cheap, then that is still better off than if we had paid, the selling price for everything. All right, so since we were already going from Seitung into Pathfire, I don't know that we saved a ton of money by coming to Lion's Arch, but we probably did save, maybe a silver. Let's check and see. It's still going to be over 5 silver, though, to get down where we want to be, I think. 3. It's not bad. Did we get all 5 on... No, we only got 3 on Crystal Oasis, so there's still 2 more we can get on this map before we even move maps. Man, I did not put much effort into the Pathfire map. I am kind of, for whatever reason lately, a little bit burnt out on the Pathfire stuff. I really strongly feel that Heart of Thorns has kind of held up the best over time. We'll see how End of Dragons does. Did I get this one? Yeah, that's right. Something took me away from this one. I don't remember what it was. So we got the Immaculate Fringe one up there, and then we got... What is going on here with my connectivity? You pay for gigabit, and this is what you get. There's another one down here. We'll go to that one first. A little bit of a walk, even with mounts. So, compared to everything else that came before Path of Fire, one notable thing about Path of Fire is that the maps felt just tremendously large, really, really big. And they are actually. I shouldn't just say they felt that way. They are really, really big. Why didn't he actually charge? I guess because he was knocked down when I asked him to do it. That's all right. Man, the difference in that the auto attack chain or life rend, life slash, life read there is just tremendous. I mean, you can see the the immediate difference there in terms of the speed of attack. It's insane. And that is, it's only once you have that trait, in my opinion, for me, getting that trait is what makes Reaper feel good. I've never, for me, I don't like the feeling of needing to use a DPS maker, which is why I think it would be irresponsible for me to play raids. Because if I'm not willing to commit myself to actually paying attention to that, then I probably shouldn't play that game. Well, it's one of several reasons. I'm also not very good. But to kind of come back on point, I don't know, as a result of not having that level of interest in those very specific details. Actually, I'm going the wrong way here. I don't know how much of a DPS difference that trait makes, but I think it's probably significant. I would say it's probably at least a 25% increase, just to have that trait accessible. I don't even know, to be quite honest, why. Let's see, what are even the other options? Chills deal damage over time. I mean, I guess if you run a build that, if you run a Condi build that relies on a bunch of chills, that's fine. Gain life force when you apply a boon to yourself. If you're in Reaper Shroud, gain health instead. I don't know that, like, Necros are not really boon heavy. I don't know that either of those other traits, and maybe there's just something, and those are specifically Reaper traits. So like for Harbinger, I'd feel differently. But as Reaper traits, like, I don't see how either of those. I understand thematically the chill one, but I don't see how either of those compete remotely with the one that increases the rate of attack on her shroud. That's completely lost on me, and maybe that will be part of the rework. I have no idea. It'd be good if it was. Let's see. Did I go the wrong way? No, not really. We'll just follow this road all the way up. And in that process, we should probably go ahead and grab the waypoint over in the temple, just so we have it for the future. Once we finish, let's see. What do we need? There's where I'm going. What do we? 2 more? All right. Once we get 2 more, then we'll take a little break, and then continue to, now having Reaper complete. Maybe we'll work towards mounts a little bit more. All right, let's get that waypoint real quick. Or alternatively, versus working on mounts, maybe, yeah, you know what? We're going to unlock another map, which means another story playthrough. But, ooh, we're going to have to go this way. I don't have Bunny. But for good reason, because we're going to unlock the best map for working on getting some Ascended accessories. Oh, this path is turning out to just plain be regret. I should have gone the other way. So if I really start to get into trouble, I can drop into my shroud and absorb a lot of this damage that I'm taking right now, and actually use the skill 2 as well on like a distant target like that to get out of there. So it can kind of almost function not like an evade, but it like a leap almost when used that way. get in over here. I thought that was... But we might still be able to kind of force it. Why do we got a commander over here? Oh, we just missed them doing the bounty here. Well, I wasn't looking for the bounty, so I probably shouldn't complain. I would have done it, though, had I got here in time for it. And were I to work on Griffin on this account, which I'm not going to, I think Griffin is a... It's kind of sad because Griffin was a really cool mount. From the time people, quote-unquote, like, discovered it, like... So, they did not publicize the Griffin mount when they were doing, you know, the advertising and the reveals and stuff for Path of Fire. So in that sense, it was kind of a hidden mount. I think, as I recall, like the data miners were already savvy to it because there was, you know, there was clear evidence of it within the, you know, the data package for Path of Fire. But you know, people kind of discovered Griffin, and from that time going forward, all the way up until the introduction of Skyscale, like Griffin felt really amazing. And then suddenly there was Skyscale, which took some work. So did Griffin, though. Some folks had Griffin in a relatively short period of time, and the number, well, yeah, that took some work on their part, and they dedicated time to it. But also, you know, those were the folks who had the 250 gold. Let's use that. Just get rid of these conditions. Those were the folks who had the 250 gold laying around. I actually did, but I didn't want to dedicate it to that at that point in time. And then I later ended up, you know, going ahead and doing it. I'm off topic. As people discovered Griffin, it felt amazing. And it was a lot of fun. And then Skyscale came out, and you had so much more control. So it obviously doesn't have the speed that Griffin has. But man, you had so much more control, and in that sense, more utility. And while there are folks who love the Griffin because it feels very interesting and fun, and really it's almost kind of a beautiful thing to when you're able to, you know, to do good stuff with it. Which I'm not. I'm not an expert Griffin pilot, but the utility just isn't there compared to Skyscale. So the moment, you know, as soon as I understood the difference between, I never really, you know, even on my main account, I probably haven't used my Griffin in, I know I haven't used it since End of Dragons came out. So at least 9 months since I've even, and that's the only account that I have a Griffin, because, well, my daughter's got a Griffin on her account, which is my account-ish. Those are the only 2 accounts that have Griffins. I haven't even bothered on any of the other accounts. Why would I? It's a waste of 250 gold. I'll just get Skyscale instead. And yeah, it's time-consuming to get it on, you know, an alt account. It gets less fun each time you do it. So I only have it on about half my accounts right now. Because it just... I take that very slowly because it's a long process. And that's one of the goals for this account. So at some point, we will go through the long process of getting Griffin on this account. And that's going to require us... Oh, she's getting that ogre. I thought she was down for a second. Yeah, we'll go through that long process on this account. It's going to require us to go through all of Season 4. And that's going to be kind of, in a way, the most time-consuming part of it. Oh man, I ran way over here. I forgot there was another one that was quite a bit closer. Well, we'll need them both, so. I really could have stayed in Reaper Shroud a lot longer, and should have, honestly. I like to conserve, which is kind of silly to conserve that life force, because if you're not using it, then you're giving up damage. I don't know why I kind of always have this feeling like I need to have some of it in reserve in case of XYZ. It's not a currency. It's kind of a weird little hang up there. But really, once you go into Shroud, you should probably exhaust at least 50%. And you're going to get so much more damage in Shroud than out of it. So, oh, did we already get... Oh, actually, we already got what we needed. I don't even have to go to that last one. We're already right here. Let's do it. Then we'll take that break. And there's that. So there's the headgear I was talking about. And really, these days, the exotic armor is so cheap. I remember when that was easily a gold apiece. Wasn't that long ago. It was just a few years ago. Now, obviously, that's not the case. Some of those pieces were only like 15, 20 silver. A lot of prices have dropped recently, some of which surprise me, some don't. You know, exotic armor going down in cost doesn't surprise me at all. It's not like something you're going to repeatedly buy. Once a character has it, then you're going to hold, you know, you're probably going to maintain that until, you know, you start replacing it with Ascended. But the sudden, or not sudden, but the consistent drop in Ecto after End of Dragons launched was pretty much the opposite of what I actually expected to happen. I expected the cost of Ectos to go up considerably, and they haven't. They've dropped considerably, which is weird for me. Mystic coins as well. Both those things I expected to go up. Alright, so we good for us. We were getting the hero points, which we needed, and in the process,
Another personal victory.
came a little bit further on our Raptor. We're going to need to get canyon jumping in order to get to where the bunny is. So we're going to need canyon jumping to get the sprayer. And at some point, we're going to have to work through some of the Pathfire story anyway, to kind of work through some of this, and to get... The story's going to give us mastery points as well. So whether we like it or not, at some point we're going to have to do some of the story to work through this. Could we do it without doing any story? I guess, potentially, but it's probably... You're going to get to a point with the master points where it's easier just to go through a few of the chapters and get master points that way. So at some point we'll have to do that, but we're at least making some progress there. So, you know, relative to the age that we're at right now, 5 hours, 46 minutes, we're at mastery level 5. That's not terrible. The first few masteries are extremely easy to get. Could it have been done much faster? Probably, but well, not probably, yes. Probably easily could have been done in 3 hours or less. But just the same, considering, you know, all the kind of different things we've been poking around with and stuff, to now be at mastery 5, and really be in striking distance between, you know, for like mastery 8 or so, pretty easily at 5 hours and change is not terrible. Alright, break, and then unlock a map so we can start working towards some Ascended trinkets. I'll see you in a few minutes.